most important factor that influenced your decision to run for mayor of Georgetown?
Thank you very much. Again, my name is Jonathan Dade. I'm running here for mayor of Georgetown, Texas. The question was, what was the most important factor that encouraged me to run for mayor? And that is, we need change. We cannot continue to do what we have always done. We need to do different things in order to affect a different result. As a police chaplain, I care very much about our law enforcement officers, and we need more funding to our law enforcement officers. We have not done that previously. I would want to be very aggressive about making sure that happens. And the second reason why I'm running for mayor is because I want to affect change with our growth trajectory. We are growing too fast at a harm to our community. And we need to make sure that there are checks and balances in place, even down to something as simple as making sure that we encourage some of the big organizations that come in here to hire a certain percentage of local employees. And that's why I'm running for mayor, to make changes like that happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So the reason that I'm running for mayor is that I believe that we're in the adolescent stage of the life cycle of our community. Georgetown, Texas, at its full build out is going to be about 300,000 people. And I know that's shocking to everyone in this room, but we got a lot of land, and we got a lot of space that is going to fill up. The only question is, how do we manage that growth, and what quality of growth do we demand? We're at 75 to 80,000 people right now. That means we're that teenage kid that's going off to college that's about to figure out what they're going to be when they grow up. And in the next 10 years, the decisions we make as a community are going to decide what we look like for the next 100 years. And I've been involved in the planning and development side with the city for over a decade. The Planning and Zoning Commission, the Historical Commission, the Zoning Board of Adjustments. And I can tell you that these are not easy decisions. They're complex. And I have the experience of going through all of these decisions, and I think that I can bring that to the table as the mayor. Thank you.
I became involved in the community development through HARC, and appeared through many commissions and the city council. And I came to the conclusion that the citizens were being abused, overtaxed, and overcharged for fees. The environment was one of opaqueness, and I think it's time to bring our governmental process out of the executive sessions and into the light. I want you, the citizens, to be the boss. Together, we can make better decisions than 7 council people, and that's my objective. Thank you.
All right, thank you all for those answers. The next question I'd like you to think about or share with us is based on what you perceive to be Georgetown's greatest challenges. Describe the first 3 initiatives that you would undertake as mayor to address these challenges.
As I said earlier, public safety is the foundation of a community. I think that as Mr. Dade said, I agree with, that we need to continue to fund our police department. City Council is going through budget workshop right now, and I believe that they're going to end up with at least 2 new officers. We probably need 7 if we're being honest, but I supported getting at least 2 new officers. We're also adding an indoor firing range to our training facility, and what I can tell you is that training matters. 0 excessive force cases, 0 discrimination cases. Training matters, and it works. Second, transportation. We're going through a transportation bond right now. The focus of that bond needs to be and will be Williams Drive. There are obviously other areas of the city that we have to address. That transportation bond is going to be really important. It'll be on the ballot next May. Last, the big question we're going to run into over the next decade is density. What level of density are we comfortable with? Do we want as a community? And I think that that's going to be a very complex question. And I want to be a part of making those decisions. Thank you.
3 items, 1 minute. The first, the electoral debacle. The decision made in secrecy now is done, and we have the consequences to deal with. I believe that we should pursue the lawsuit if it will lead to a negotiated settlement. If not, we should drop it. Hire an effective a consultant to sell our electricity on the spot market the best price we can and minimize our losses. Second, water, water, water. We don't have enough. We're building too fast. We're going to run out in the second half of the decade. Lastly, transparency. We need to know why decisions are made by the city council and for what objective. Thank you very much.
Hello again, my name is Jonathan Dade. I'm running for mayor here in Georgetown, Texas. The three initiatives based on our greatest challenges that I would focus on. The first one is I do agree with Larry, and we didn't coordinate this, by the way, blue and the cargo, color. But anyway, I do agree. Obviously, public safety is very important. Him and I very much agree on that. Second one is community involvement. I am not going to put my friends on the boards and commissions. As an MBA, I'm going to look at all the resumes or the applications of all the people who submit their name onto a board or commission, and I'm going to allow you to help us better run this city. That is a commitment and an initiative that I can promise you. And lastly, we do have some needs in this community when it comes to the homeless population and people that are affected by the coronavirus, especially a lot of our small business owners. I have some initiatives that I'd love to share, but I only have 4 more seconds. So please vote Jonathan Dade for mayor of Georgetown.
Thank you so much. Jonathan mentioned the coronavirus, and so my next question, we will start is that the mayor's position serves as the leader of our community during a state emergency. How would you best describe the role of the mayor during a state of the emergency like the current pandemic?
The most important role of the mayor in emergencies is planning ahead. We know that there are certain threats that have a probability of occurring. And if we wait until they occur to respond, we're too late. I need to coordinate with the manager, the city manager, and go over a list of accidents that occur and plan ahead, including the provision of water after the event occurs. We can't have grocery stores selling 20 cases of water to one customer and running out when others need it. Planning ahead is the answer. Thank you very much.
Hey again, my name is Jonathan Dade. I'm running for mayor of Georgetown, Texas. So excellent question. I'm going to start my stopwatch 60 seconds. Don't even worry about those papers. It's interesting, in the city charter, the only 2 things that the mayor is tasked with doing is handling ceremonial duties and state of emergency. But one of the requirements for being mayor does not include having any police training, any military training, any leadership training. You can literally just be anybody, but as long as you live within the city and you're above the age of 18, you can be mayor, even though those are the only 2 jobs of mayor, ceremonial duties and state of emergency. I was a naval officer. I've led troops into battle. I'm a combat wounded, 10% disabled veteran. I tell you this to say that not everything I did was glorious and fun and comfortable, and I've had to make very, very tough decisions. And as mayor during coronavirus, I would say if our city has a very, very low rate, that we don't maybe need to do certain mandates that other cities that are doing that have a higher rate. So I'm prepared to make those tough decisions as a former naval officer, and I look forward to being the mayor of Georgetown, Texas. Thank you very much.
I think we need to look real close to the charter and reduce the powers of the mayor in these situations. I think that the charter and state of emergency is more contemplating natural disasters, active shooter incidents, very, very limited scope and time incidents. And I think that this pandemic has proven that this is not a good structure, that we cannot give one human being power over the entire economy, power over the entire community for this extended period of time. And we need to look really closely at limiting the mayor's powers in these situations. Thank you.
Okay, so we've been through some of the challenges that you guys might have to deal with as mayor, but what do you think has been our city's greatest accomplishment within the past 10 years? Mr. Nichols, start with you.
Well, what do you got to do first?
Just following the order.
Hi. My name is Jonathan Dade, and I'm running for mayor of Georgetown, Texas. Some of the biggest accomplishments that I would say for the city of Georgetown is our crime rating. We are a very, very, very safe city. Again, as an MBA, I ran the numbers on all the cities around the Austin Metroplex area within an hour driving distance, because when I was working for Michelin, I wanted to be able to drive within an hour to get to work. And Georgetown, hands down, we have an amazingly low crime rating. Kudos to Chief Nero and everything at the police department. I also think we have that family feel that I just really love, and my wife really loves it. It's hard to describe that family feel, that charm, that small town charm. My wife grew up in upstate New York in a small town. I grew up in a lot of different places because my dad was Air Force and we moved a lot. But I think those are our greatest accomplishments. And as mayor, I really look forward to protecting those things that we've accomplished over the decades. Again, my name is Jonathan Dade. Thank you very much.
I believe that it's historic preservation and renovation of the downtown square. We've had over $30 million invested into renovating what I believe are the greatest assets of our community. Ask anybody in this room, what's the first place you bring someone to when they come to visit you in Georgetown, Texas? It's the square. 10 years ago, the square shut down at 4:45 p.m. And there was no one to be seen. We've got thriving businesses. We've got people coming in from other places. We're making the top 10 lists of every magazine in the world because of the amount of effort and funding that has gone into renovating and preserving those cultural assets. And we're going to continue to do that. Thank you.
In my opinion, the most significant accomplishment has been the Austin Bridges project. That started with a variety of different people, a full scope of opinions. Meetings were held, opinions were obtained. We did due diligence. It went through a governmental process where no judgments were made. The decision was open minds, and the final conclusion came down, the bridges are safe, and that decision was supported even at the state level with bureaucrats that seem to know more than we do. A wonderful example of citizen cooperation and accomplishing an objective. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Mr. Turner, we're going to start with you on this question. What is your ideal vision for the future of economic development in Georgetown?
Economic development is a partnership between the city, the chamber, the school district, and the business community itself, and the county now as well. All of those entities have to work together to draw businesses to this community. Like I said, I want to be a place where we can live and work. I don't want people commuting or have to commute to get to a job. And we are entering a period where we're going to have companies fleeing the cities, fleeing high tax, high regulatory environments, and looking for a place to land. And Georgetown, Texas is going to be ideal for lots and lots of people. So what we've got to do is put all of those players together in the same room. City, we've got a great economic development staff, Michaela Dollar and her team. Chamber, Jim does a great job. The county is being super aggressive in their economic development efforts, and I believe that we can make a huge difference here in Georgetown. Thank you.
Current Georgetown population is 81,000 people. By the end of 2021, it will be 100,000 people. At the end of the decade, it will be 170,000 people. Now remember that number because that's the target for 2050. We're 20 years ahead of our population projection. No community will survive if we can't provide the water to our citizens. My projection for economic growth is we have a citizenship of 135,000 people at the end of the decade, and we plan and structure that objective. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Dade, and I'm running for mayor of Georgetown, Texas. My plan for economic development looks like the faces of every single person here in this room. What I think Georgetown maybe has not done a good job with is incentivizing and helping and encouraging small business owners, family-owned businesses, businesses that have been in this town for generations, for decades, Instead, we're catering and we're incentivizing and we're encouraging all the big businesses that take jobs away from people in this room like each and every one of you. I want to help you. I don't know what that looks like. I have a couple of ideas, but I would like to talk with you and get to know you and figure out how I can help you, because it is the small business owners, the local owned businesses, the minority owned businesses that truly make a city charming as Georgetown. And that's how I'd like to contribute to economic development. Again, my name is Jonathan Dave. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Dave just mentioned small businesses, and so I'm going to move to one of the questions from our audience. People have mentioned that protecting our small town feel, but how do you ensure that we protect all small businesses who make up that small town feel? Mr. Brendan, we're starting with you.
My wife and I ran a retail business for 7 years, so it was in Coronado, California. Entirely different, but very similar, very tourist oriented. The city thus far has done a great job in promoting the tourism to the city. We need to understand what the needs of the local merchant are. If they live here or if they live out of town, we need to do things such as dedicating parking to open up the sidewalks as they did last weekend. We need coordination with the business population to identify their needs and help them accomplish them. Thank you.
Hola, my name is Jonathan Dave. I'm running for mayor of Georgetown, Texas. I thought I'd change it up just for a quick second. Protecting the small town feel. So my wife from upstate New York, she loves New York pizza and Italian food. And when we came here to Georgetown, she's just like, I don't know. There's not too many places that have that real authentic, Italian food or that real pizza that she really, really likes. And that comes from a small mom and pop shop. That unfortunately they're suffering right now during the coronavirus. And I think one of the ways we can help that type of a business, those local family-owned businesses, the business owners here in this room, number one is obviously looking at the speed downtown and some of the other areas, because family-owned people can't just always just walk around everywhere without worrying about their children getting hit. Another one is parking. Larry mentioned that. That's something that can also help protect the small-owned businesses. And in 15 last seconds, incentives. If we have a certain amount of money, let's say $15,000 to give incentives to a big business, why don't we have $15,000 to give to a small family-owned business? Again, Jonathan Dave, Mayor, thank you very much.
Thank you. So I'm a business law attorney. What I do is represent small businesses. What I want to do is I want to turn your small business, help you turn your small business into a big business. I want you to be successful. I want you to grow, and I want you to employ more people, and I want you to make more money. That's my goal. And I think the city can play a role in that we've got a great retention process through our economic development department. They do a great job of visiting with our current small business owners, making sure that they're, have what they need, making sure that if they're about to grow, that we've got the resources that the city can help them grow to that next level. And then the third thing is the city has done a good job of this, but we need to continue to do a good job of being extremely nimble. I think the best example of this is the outdoor dining that was just approved by council and implemented, probably not as fast as folks would have liked it, but extremely fast considering the amount of thought and ordinances that had to go into that just to help those downtown businesses stay open. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Our next question, I'm going to combine two that came from our audience. And those are, what is your vision or your plan for homelessness, hunger, and affordable housing in the context of our increasing growth in the city?
Hey everyone, thank you guys for submitting the questions. Again, my name is Jonathan Dave, running for mayor of Georgetown, Texas. Homelessness, I know we struggle with admitting that it exists here in Georgetown, but it does. There are people struggling with various chemical addictions, drug addictions. I think that is one way to help combat homelessness. It needs to be a holistic approach. It's not just like, hey, here's a house, or we're just going to pay for this for you, but we can combat that. Another one is mental health. This is something that I'm actively involved in as a police chaplain and also a chaplain for various veteran organizations. We need to focus on that. And then as far as affordable housing, I know none of us might not want it in our neighborhood, but it needs to be somewhere. Houses that are not $600,000. I mean, I love Georgetown, but we need something that is affordable, or attainable would even be a better word, for our homeless and population. So I would try to make sure I incentivize programs to go into that effort, and I've met with some developers that will make that happen. Again, my name is Jonathan Dade, and I'm running for mayor of Georgetown, Texas. Thank you.
Georgetown has one of the most robust and amazing nonprofit communities in the state of Texas. Lone Star Circle of Care is one of the best healthcare providers in the nation. The Caring Place is an amazing resource that helps people across the board with food, rent, utility assistance. We've got lots. Bob Weimer's group is out there feeding people every single day. The city is not going to solve homelessness, not going to solve addiction problems. What the city can do is help the nonprofit community. Can assist them with, there's a city grant process that they go through. There's lots of different ways we can do that, but the focus, the tip of the spear needs to be our nonprofit community and church community. Thank you.
I would second that, but I'm sorry.
No.
I would second that, but I would go further. I've sat through many and many meetings in the city council, and they discussed low-income housing. And they kicked the ball down the road, and there's never been an answer, but there is one continuing problem. People who make $10 an hour cannot rent or find a home in Georgetown. We need to have a program that will take the poorly educated, give them an access to education such as to ACC, provide them the transportation, and give them an opportunity for a better life. We can do that. We got $9 million in the Georgetown Economic Development Corporation Fund, and we can take a little of that and improve the education level of the people who work here. Thank you very much.
I think it's Josh this time. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the order.
The order is the hardest part about this forum every single time we do one. So I have another question about growth for you. So what is your vision for growth at the Georgetown Airport?
It's not growing. It is a myth that the Georgetown Airport, that there's some secret plan to expand the airport and turn it into DFW. That's not going to happen. The airport will continue to be improved. It is actually a great economic tool for our city. There's a waiting list of folks that want to store planes there. There are folks that use that airport. It makes money for the city, but it is not turning into some secret airport that is going to ruin our city.
Well, we all admire Josh and his opinions, but the fact of the matter is the airport does not make a lot of money. It makes any money that it makes is on the sale of jet fuel. And what does jet fuel mean to you? It means more noise to me. I don't have the confidence that there are no plans to expand the airport. We have a runway that's 5,000 feet long. They have land to the north that could be taken in by eminent domain and extend the airport to 8,000 feet in length. And guess what? If they do that, Georgetown becomes Bachman Lake. If you don't know what Bachman Lake is, Google it. It's the area just to the west of Love Field and Dallas. And you will find what your life will be like. Thank you very much. Insist on no growth at the airport.
My name is Jonathan Dade. I'm running for mayor here in Georgetown, Texas. Thanks very much, Josh and Larry, for your thoughts on that. If there is a waiting list of people who want to store their planes at our airport, and if we're looking at extending the runway of our airport, that sounds to me like traffic is going to increase. Air traffic would increase. That's just what that sounds like to me. And Austin had to make this very difficult decision. Dallas had to make this very difficult decision. It sounds to me like our city, Georgetown, might need to make the very difficult decision of looking for cost-effective ways of possibly moving it. I know that sounds really scary, but there could be cost-effective ways to where it's not even a financial burden on the taxpaying citizens to possibly move it to where it's not in the middle of our city, but maybe in a different place. Maybe. We could just look into it. I would like to look into that if that's okay with you all. Again, my name is John Today. I'm running for mayor of Georgetown, Texas.
This way.
Okay.
Me again?
It's you again, yes. So how do you see yourself working with planning and zoning and other organizations within the city government structure to ensure that we have proper infrastructure for roads and water?
That wasn't on the list of questions, by the way, so if I had a pipe to load, I would do it before I answer it. We need to do several things with water. Planning and zoning really has nothing to do with highways. We have a commission right now that's investigating roads and what to do. And the same will go for every function within government. I would like to add, as this commission on roads makes a decision, as mayor, I would neither accept nor condone, a bond issue to build new highways and roads until the builders pay their share of the cost of what it cost us to build them. Thank you.
Who in here knows what my name is? Who in here is on the Planning and Zoning Committee? Who in here has experience that might benefit a board like the Planning and Zoning Committee board? Like, whatever your experience is, I want to get someone like you on that board. That's what I want to do. I want to get experts who know more about this field and this topic than I do onto that committee. I'm going to look at your application. I'm going to make sure your name gets on there, because what I think we've been doing for too long is not getting the opinions of experts and people who are very knowledgeable in this, especially when it comes to roads and water. I mean, obviously we're using our water way faster than we can afford to keep up with it. And then roads, I mean, traffic, I mean, like, let's just be real, it's not looking good. So we need to work with some of the federal and state agencies to help us with that. Again, my name is John Today. I'm running for mayor here in Georgetown, Texas. And the way that I would work with the Planning and Zoning Committee is by getting experts like you onto those committees so you can help us move them in the right direction. Thank you very much.
I served as the chair of the Planning and Zoning Committee for 4 years, served as the chair of the Historic Commission for a year, and served as the chair of the Zoning Board of Adjustments for 4 years. I can tell you that it's a very, very difficult, complex process, that when I went into it, I thought I was going to change the world and show all these people how it was done. And then after sitting through 1,000 applications and getting screamed at by 1,000 people, I realized that this is a lot harder than I thought it was. But I've been through that process, and until you've seen 1,000 development applications, you don't realize that phrases like manage the growth and slow the growth mean nothing until you actually have to raise your hand and vote on something difficult. I'll never forget the process where the Randalls out on Williams Drive was approved, and we had 50 people screaming at us on one side, 50 people screaming at us on the other side. At the end of the day, approving that project was the right thing for Georgetown. So I had to raise my hand and take a difficult vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Allow me to take notes beforehand. Prepare the slides.
but you're in luck because we're moving back to the questions that the chamber came up with. So this is your final question before we move into closing statements. But if elected, how would you want the people of Georgetown to remember your time as mayor?
So again, my name is Jonathan Day. I'm running for mayor here in Georgetown, Texas. If elected, how would I want the people of Georgetown, Texas to remember me? Again, go back to the city charter. ceremonial duties and essentially an emergency management. For ceremonial duties, I would like you guys to remember me as that mayor who showed up to that Boy Scout meeting or that soccer game or that ribbon cutting. I want to be that type of mayor while also being behind the scenes a business mayor who's handling all the important decisions. But I want to be that face that's really just showing the love and the unity and the charm and the family friendliness that is Georgetown. And should an emergency happen, as a naval officer, I would be able to help us navigate through that. So that's how I would want to be remembered, as a mayor who was able to handle us and walk us through any emergency situations, but just being that fun guy, like, I actually want him to come to our ribbon cutting, you know what I mean? And he's not going to bully me. Just saying. Jonathan Date for Mayor of Georgetown, Texas. Thank you very much.
I'm kind of honestly fine if they don't remember me. I think that being a successful mayor is kind of like being a referee. If you get through the end of the game and nobody realizes you were there, you probably did a good job. I have no desire to be on the front page of anything. I want to serve this community. I would love to get through and folks to look back and see that we had a council that had, vigorous but civil debate. That we actually talked through the issues that this city needs to address, and that we come to those decisions, that the community feels like they were heard, that they feel like they were part of the decision-making process, and I'm fine with being in the background on all of that. Thank you.
My honored opponent just defined responsible government, and I have to second exactly what he said. That we were fair, we listened, and we came up with the right decision after debate. Thank you very much.
Because we did that one that way first, I guess. It doesn't matter.
We're changing up the order.
No, don't change it up. You go back to what you're supposed. Don't listen to me.
Either way, we're starting with Mr. Turner.
Yeah.
And we're going to give you 2 minutes for closing. So anything you'd like to say to wrap us up?
Again, just want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for taking the time to be a part of this process. This is an important election. If you had told me a year ago that we were going to be talking about things like shutting down the economy, shutting down the city, mandating masks, defunding the police department, none of these issues even existed a year ago. And now they're at the core of this race. And so what I will tell you is those are probably not the issues we're going to be talking about a year from now. They're probably going to have something that no one in this room can even contemplate right now is going to be at the forefront of this term of service. And so what I would tell you is I would ask you to look at my record of service and determine whether or not I have the experience and the character to lead the city going forward. And I believe that I don't think I'm the only person in this community, probably not even the only person in this room that could serve as mayor, but I'm willing to do it right now. And I think that I can serve this community. I think I can work with all of the different organizations and people in our community and keep Georgetown that wonderful place that we all chose to make our home. Thank you.
Josh mentioned that the decisions we make over the next 10 years will have an amazing impact. I would suggest to you that the decisions we make over the next 10 months are going to have a major impact. But regardless, there's 38,000 residential units on the planning boards at this moment. If we had no additional applications, that would put us at our 2030 limit of 170,000 people. Now, I see this election as a referendum. Josh says we can go to 300,000 people ultimately. Well, I moved from Plano, and Plano is 300,000 people. And I moved to Georgetown. And when I got here, I didn't see, oh man, this town has potential to get to where I just left. And that's what I see as a referendum. If you want growth and you want it fast, then that's one option. If you want intelligent growth, monitor to our availability of infrastructure, then I'm your guy. If you want growth, but you want me, please don't vote for me, because that would be purgatory for me. I'm not going to govern over the demise of this city. So once again, if you want intelligent growth, controlled growth starting tomorrow, not 2 years from now, then please consider me as your candidate. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan Dane. I think you know that by now. I'm running for mayor of Georgetown, Texas. For my closing remarks, one of the first things I want to affirm is yes, I actually do agree with Josh that this is a very important election. And that's why I was the first one to announce, because I'm very dedicated to this campaign and to this election and to running for mayor. I wasn't just someone who was thrown in last minute. We talked a little bit about being willing and brave enough to serve as mayor, and that is something I'm able to do. And I also have the time to do it because I'm a rabbi, so I preach on the weekend, and I'm a cyclist. So I have the time to actually be your mayor and be there when you need me to. We talked a little bit about experience. It really just depends on the type of experience you want. And again, I have 2 minutes, correct? Yeah. We talk about the type of experience you want to have. You can have experience only in one field, like you're an orthopedic surgeon, or you can have someone who has broad levels of experience in multiple different ways, from corporate America to as a Navy officer. I also chair one of the boards, the 88 board here in Georgetown, Texas. So I provide you that general manager, CEO broad experience that I think can really turn around our city. And I also agree with Larry. I love you, brother, man. Really, your decision comes down to the face, the blue and the khaki combination, which I guess we're kind of similar on that. And your decision also comes down to what do you want to do with the growth? Larry, you want a moratorium on the growth. We know this. Buddy, you're a real estate attorney. We know what you want to do with growth. I'm in the middle, literally. Like look at where my table is. That is really, I mean, I don't know how else to explain this to you. That is your decision. I want to manage the growth in a way that actually benefits our community and doesn't just skyrocket all of our property values to where we can't even afford to live here anymore, but manage it in a smart way as an MBA would. My name is Jonathan Day. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's have another hand for our candidates.